Welcome back everyone to the channel. Today's video we're going to be doing a video on the 992 911 Carrera S. We're going to do an interior exterior overview of the car, show you guys some of the cool details about this car. Big thanks and shout out to Flemington Porsche here in New Jersey. Big shout out to them for letting me come out and film this car today. So let's jump right in. Let's go film this car and see what it's all about. All right guys, here we have it, the 992 Carrera S in the beautiful Guards red with the silver wheels to match, which I think looks a lot better than having black wheels. Just contrasts with the red a lot better. The 992 in person I think looks a lot better than it does in pictures. I know people were big fans of the 991, but if you go around and come to the rear, I think this is where the car shines the most because of how beautiful the new LED lights are that go all the way around the car through the whole back, and it just gives this huge aggressive look to it, and it looks amazing. I think it looks a lot better than the 991 did. So I think the one main difference between this and the 991 is the front end. So the front end seems like it has a little bit more of a boxy shape, if you can see it coming from this angle. It doesn't look bad, it just looks a lot more different than the 991 did. If you come around, you do have active aero in the front, especially in these lower grills right here. These flaps move up and down to allow air to come in whenever it needs it for the engine. And then of course it has the updated PDLS headlights. So with Porsche now you get those 4 little LED dots, and then you get like a LED bar here, which isn't on the GT3 but is on the Carrera and I think on the Turbo S. But then as you come up here, you have the full PDLS system, so that's all LED, and that's active LEDs as well, and it looks really good on this car. As you know, on the 991 it actually had 2 bulbs instead of 1 on the 992, so it had one of those up here and then another one down if you were to get the PDLS Plus. But on this car, on the 992 generation, you only get 1, but works just as well, maybe even better. So coming down from the headlights, you do have those nice silver wheels I mentioned before. So in the front, you do have 20s and then 21s in the back. So it is a staggered setup, of course, because it's a rear-wheel drive Porsche. You're going to want to have a staggered setup for performance. But these, I'm not 100% sure which option they are for these wheels. I do like them a lot. The design looks really nice. I love multi-spokes on Porsches, especially 911s. But I think you can get like Turbo S wheels if you wanted to spec it just to spend a little bit more money. But I think these look good. And like I said, the silver on the red looks a lot better than I think black on red would with these wheels. So I mean, overall the design is pretty much the same as the 991. 911s don't really change too much over 1 or 2 generations from the other one, but you can see the new design cues that they added to make it look more refreshed and more modern, and I think they did a really good job with that. So one thing to note about the 992 generation, that it is wider and longer than the previous gen. I think it looks great in person. If you have a chance to look at one, I would highly suggest it. So of course, since this is a 911, the engine is mounted in the rear. You do have a flat 6 3-liter turbocharged engine. Really nice engine, sounds amazing. I'll give you guys a sound clip here pretty soon. And then up here on the deck, you do have rear brake lights up there, and then like I said before, you do have that LED bar that goes across, and that is also a brake light. You can option that red light to be completely clear through Porsche if you wanted to. I haven't seen one in person. I think it would probably look really cool, but the red looks nice as well. And then as you come down to the rear, you do have the exhaust tips, which they are quad exhaust tips, but they are fake, but that's just sort of the industry standard nowadays. But they don't look bad, so you don't have to worry about that too much. So unfortunately with Porsches, you don't really get to see the engine as much as you would want to. This is literally the rear engine cover, so when you click the button to open the engine cover, this is literally the only thing that opens. So that's the only thing that kind of sucks, because you do want to see that beautiful engine, but yeah, you have access to pretty much everything you need here. Because it is rear mounted, we get to go to the front and see what's in the hood. So like I was saying, because the engine's in the back, the front hood doesn't have anything. Let's see if I can get it open. Boom, you have a trunk in the front. So technically it is a frunk. There is a decent amount of space. You can definitely fit probably 2 pieces of luggage, so it isn't too bad. And then you also have the back seat, which I'll show you guys after this. It does have a little bit of storage space as well, but yeah, because the engine's rear mounted, you do get a frunk, which is kind of cool. This has been, you know, for all 911, so nothing new, but I'm sure they've increased the storage size because the car has gotten bigger. So this little circle up in the front is actually the radar cruise control. So even though this is a 911 and a dedicated sports car, you can get very nice driver's assist programs. So this does have lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, and it does have adaptive cruise, which this is why I'm saying that the 992 Carrera S is probably the best daily sports car money can buy right now. So the other cool party trick with the 992 Carrera S is actually how you unlock the door. So with the door handles being flushed, you can just take the car key, unlock the car, and the handles pop out. And I know a lot of people were kind of confused on that design, but I think it looks really cool, especially with it flushed. Especially probably helps with aerodynamics, but it just looks cool when you click unlock and your door handles pop out. I think that's pretty amazing. So as you step in the 911 Carrera S, you do have the nice skid plate right here saying what car you have. So, you know, if you forget what car you own, when you step in, you can see it. Over here on the door panel, you do have sort of like a textured material as the trim, and then of course the gloss black as most cars do. So let's hop inside and kind of go over the interior and what they really updated between the 992 and 991. I think most of the updates comes with the interior. So once you get into the 992, you realize, yes, you do have a car key, but in older Porsches, you used to stick the key in right here in this spot and turn it to turn on the car. But now, because the updated, you know, kind of sort of keyless to go cars, you just have this little nub that you just turn over. But the one thing that's kind of cool about Porsche is that the reason why the key is on the left rather than the right is because when they used to race in 24 hours of Le Mans, when the driver would have to hurry up and jump into the car to start the car, as he was jumping in, he could turn the key to start the car. So that's the design, and they've kept it for this long. And I think that's a really cool heritage fact that they've added into all the 911s and have kept it for so long. The first thing you obviously notice when you hop into the 992, the main difference between this and the 991 is the infotainment and the driver's center display. So instead of having all 4 gauges, the pocket cluster that they used to have on the 991s, you have a full digital display, but you still have that center gauge cluster right in the middle. So they do keep that physical dial, but over here on the left and over here on the right is actually 2 screens, and it displays all the information that you need, but it still looks like it's 4 pocket gauges. And because I'm a tech guy, I think this is so much cooler than 991's center driver's display. I know a lot of people say, hey, you know, I don't really want screens. I like the physical gauges. Well, you still have one right in the middle, but you still have those 2 screens on the side. And I think it looks really, really good, especially in person, displaying all the information you need. Like, why not get 2 screens rather than, you know, just no screens at all? And then you come over here and the infotainment system is completely different from before. So before it used to be that old, you know, kind of like waterfall buttons and things like that just sort of looked outdated. Now you got a full screen right here, and then you have some buttons over here to like turn on the sport, the dampers for the suspension. If it's wet out, you can click that. And then coming down here, you still have some little knobs right here, and then like a little screen to display the temperature, change the dials and things like that. So you still have physical buttons, but you do have a really nice, huge touch screen, and you can just sort of go in through the menu, shows the car that you have, and then climate. You can do that up here as well rather than just doing it down there. And then you have different apps that you can do as well, search different things. You can scroll. So this is the home screen. This is obviously where you're going to see everything. So it's nice, kind of tiled out, so you can have navigation. Click on that. Then you have the infotainment for the entertainment, whether or not it's Sirius Radio or Apple CarPlay. And then of course you have kind of like the clock and the date, which is cool. And then if you go back to car, you can change, and you can up the spoiler or make it go down. So it does have active aero, like I said before, in the front, but also in the back. And then you can change what drive mode you are in, what drive mode you're in, and then also the chassis as well. So I think the biggest thing that people don't like about the 992, and also I made a video on the 2022 S3. If you haven't seen that, click up there to watch it, is the gear selector. So a lot of car companies now have completely changed their gear selectors. They're not really doing normal ones that they used to before. Now it's sort of just like little rectangle shapes that you can just shift into gear, and they work. I think it looks cool. It looks good, and it works really well with the design of the center console. But it is nice to have a regular gear selector. Like in the 991, the PDK gear selector was probably my favorite in the industry. So it is kind of sad to see that go away and to have this little rectangle to change your gears, but really it's not that big of a deal. Then over here you do have cooled and heated seats. Overall, the design of the cabin looks really good. It really is reminiscent of a 911. Like, you can still see the 911 in this car, which is super important. And I think that's what people get upset about when they change things a lot, is that it doesn't look like a 911 anymore. But they did a really good job of integrating that screen into that dashboard, and then also the driver's display. Like, it looks just like every other 911, and that's what you want out of a car. And then you come over here in the steering wheel, you do have the Porsche crest, a couple buttons here, and sort of like a floating design for the buttons. Looks good. You do have the regular stocks back there to do active cruise control and, you know, the wiper control as well. And you do have nice anodized paddles in the back, which feel great. So the one thing about 911s in the interior is that it is practical, well, to an extent. So you do have back seats. I'm not sure who could fit in there, but I'm sure you could stuff some people if you really wanted to. You could also put a kid's car seat. So yeah, you can explain to your wife that this car is practical enough to take the whole family on road trips, which I would definitely take this car on a cruise with my whole family. All right, guys, so I am sitting in the back of the Carrera S. It is kind of tight, but yes, it is doable. You can definitely fit people back here. Like I've said in other videos, I'm definitely 5'11". Don't get that mistaken. But yeah, you can definitely fit back here. It's not that comfortable, but you know, for a short road trip, why not? It's actually not too bad. All right, guys, now that we've gone over the interior details and the exterior details of this car, I think the one thing that you guys have been waiting for this whole video is to hear what this car sounds like. So I'm gonna hop in, do a couple revs for you guys, and let you guys see and hear how amazing the 992 Carrera S sounds. Alright guys, so that wraps it up for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm having a great time filming different cars rather than just the CLA 45. Today we filmed the 992 Carrera S and why it's the best sports car available as a daily driver. Big thanks again to Flemington Porsche for letting me film this car. If you guys enjoyed it, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.